few weeks ago I talked about, when I went back to school. I was off school for a long time, obviously for a few months, and I went back. I was forced back by the state, and I went back, and basically I had to pay for a taxi in and out, and it cost €20 a day to get me to school for Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. And the reason why, I had been plenty of time applied for a bus ticket. I had it done before probably anybody else. And I applied for a bus ticket, right? And this is the story. Matt Carty talked about it in Dáil Éireann to Norma Foley today. Matt Carty's the TD for Cavan and Monaghan. And Matt Carty basically went through Norma Foley, and she's right to go through her on it. Because she's done nothing. And I might say straight, she's done nothing to help people who hadn't got bus tickets. Through no fault of their own. Like, again, they pay on bus Éireann, or whatever bus it is, to accommodate them. And it's not, again, it's basically Number 40's fault, really. At the end of the day, in the Department of Transport, and him and Ryan, but he's probably asleep, so. But it's their whole fault, because again, I had this, over the last, I went to school 3 weeks before Christmas. And that's €100 or 100 and something euros a week, so it's basically 300 and something euros I paid in taxi for 3 weeks, to get me back and home. So it was a lot. It's a good bit of money at the end of the week, and I couldn't be bothered. About at the end of the day, I won't miss the money, might as well say straight. But it's just the principle, because every other year I had a bus ticket and I had a place in the bus. And it's just the principle, and I used to be able to talk to a few people on the bus and talk to them, catch up on them, see how they're doing, and talk to them. And I don't have that now, and that's unfortunate. But it's just the fact, and again, I'd say this straight. I went to county councillors about it. I actually talked in a council meeting. I was in a council meeting with county councillors, and there was a few TDs with out at the same time. And I mentioned it. I was only listening, but I did mention at the end about the buses. And I mentioned it, and again, I have two county councillors along with a TD doing it. And again, the problem they're facing, they told me straight, and the problem I was facing, is that I rang Bus Éireann, I rang the Department of Transport, I rang Tom, Dick and Harry. I rang the Ombudsman for Children, I rang the Office of the Ombudsman for Children. I rang them myself, and I asked, what's the story? I have to say the Ombudsman for Children's Office and the Department of Transport, they were very good. They did their best. But when I rang Bus Éireann, they wouldn't communicate. They just refused. And I, at one stage, was somebody being so rude to me, and this was only about last week, or so. But just probably after the New Year, straight after the New Year, I rang Bus Éireann just to see, because they said to get back onto me, never did. So I rang them, and this person was incredibly rude. And it ended up with me getting very, very annoyed with him, because I asked him, who is paying your wages? Is it the taxpayer or you're privately funded? Because again, Bus Éireann's funded by the taxpayer Department of Transport, our taxes are paying for it. And he's incredibly rude. I didn't report him. I could have, what he said to me and what he uttered under the phone, like, he wouldn't say it straight, but what he uttered, and I heard it, it was very offensive, obviously. But I'm not going to say it. I'm going to be very careful, because again, he was very likely, if I did report him, we could have lost his job. Because he uttered something, and I mean, it's very highly disrespectful. It got me very, very tick, and it's very hard to get me extremely tick at a moment's notice. But he did it, because again, I was generally concerned. I was annoyed that I didn't get a place in the bus, and that they didn't get back onto me. And then the adding insult to injury, two county councils, I asked, could they look into it and try their best, because I couldn't do anything, because I was literally, they would tell me nothing, and Bus Éireann literally, they wouldn't do anything for me. I rang them a few times, basically was told, really nothing of use. I was told they get back to me, and the usual fucking crack. And forgive me for my language, but that's what I had to deal with for weeks and weeks and weeks. For them 3 weeks I went back to school, and the week before I nearly went back to school, I rang them up, and I rang them, and I rang them, and I rang them, and basically nothing came out of it, and it was just a senseless waste of time. I say I spent about 5 hours on the phone trying to sort something out, with Bus Éireann alone, and that's a long time I had to spend and just dilly dallying around. And I went to county council, I went to a TD, and they came back to me, and they said they couldn't do anything, because Bus Éireann wouldn't acknowledge them, and wouldn't talk to them, and these are people that represent, the people, and voted in by the people, and Bus Éireann refused to acknowledge and talk to them and to work with them. So this is what's happening. I'm taking Matt Carty, because I did mention it, as I said in the meeting, and I think Matt Carty was there. But anyway, it's probably, as he said, there's loads of people in Monaghan who are the same way. But it's a disgrace. And Norma Foley's another thing to add to Norma Foley's recipe. That it's a joke. It's really is a joke. The cat do anything about it. It's a sad joke. It really is a sad joke. But I couldn't care less for the money. Imagine say straight. I couldn't care less about it. It's just the principle. It's really just the principle, and that's what I'm annoyed about. So yeah, that's really what I'm just very annoyed about. Imagine say, and then Bus Aaron, you insulting really, and that person insulted me on the phone. Yeah, again, when I questioned him, he hung up. He refused to utter the thing he said, which if he did, I would have took his name and I would have went up to his office and I would have had a little talk with him, because it was such offensive, whatever he said. I heard what he said under his breath, but I'm not going to utter it here. And he was pretty much a coward in Manchester City if he was not going to say it when I said to him to say it straight. It's a disgrace. This is, like as they said, that it's one of the county councillors said to me. They said they wouldn't even pick up the phone to him. They wouldn't pick up the phone. He rang them once and they hung up with him, and they wouldn't answer the phone again to his number. So that's what you were dealing with. That's what you're dealing with on Bus Aaron. They won't communicate. That's the crack that's going on. And nothing can be done about it. And obviously they're doing the best, and I just want to thank them, and they know who they are. Brendan Smith's helping me with it. Brendan Smith TD for Calvin and Fianna Fáil. And then there's obviously 2 county councillors helping me too, so which is great. Which obviously I appreciate them doing their best to try and get me someplace in the bus. So yeah, thank you to them. Hopefully something can be sorted. Hopefully Norma Foley might move herself on a bit and do something. And apologies for my health. So take care everybody, and bye.